Okay. All right, we'll begin. And we'll start with questions that were raised from the last class. So someone submitted these photos. So this one is the real Starbucks coffee trademark. And this is a real Starbucks coffee trademark. And the last one is dumb Starbucks coffee trademark. The ones on the side are obviously parodies of the first one, the one in the center. So, is this copyright infringement? What do you think? What's the test you have to apply? Anyone?
I think it is.
You think it is?
Yes, because they're gaining an income from this. They're getting an income from it. They're making money.
It is copyright infringement. And who is making money?
The guy who copied it.
Okay, well, is making money a sign of copyright infringement? Do you remember Demi Moore picture? Do you remember how the film producer made use of Demi Moore's picture to create a poster for the commercial film? Did he make money of it? Yes, he did. I mean, he advertised his movie using somebody else's photograph. And yet the court said it's not a copyright infringement. So obviously whether one makes money is not the test of whether it is copyright infringing. Anyone else? Yes?
The less of the original means more like fair use. I would say it used almost 90% of the original, so I would say it's not. The original has a lot of creative investment in it, so the parodies, I think they've used most of what has already been used in the original, so I would say it's copyrighted. But then in last class you said how parodies are in the category of fair use, so I'm not really sure.
Why are parodies easier to justify as fair use? Did you read the material on Blackboard? There was a PowerPoint that summarized my lecture last week on fair use. And what's the test? What's the test of fair use? Well, you can look it up now if you have a mobile phone. It's on Blackboard. Well,
Necessary and demand? Was it necessary and demand to?
Well, necessary to do what? Whether the scope of use of another's work is necessary for what? Whole new creation. Okay? Creation independent from the original work. And how do we decide whether something is whole new creation? The themes, right? The feelings and emotions and sentiments generated by the works, right? So Demi Moore's picture generates strong sense of what? Womanhood, right? It was a celebration of pregnancy, female pregnancy. You guys some of you are drawing blanks, so let me remind you. See? The one on the right side was the original. The one on the left side was a parody of the original. And we established that this is fair use, or the court established that this is fair use because the feeling that Demi Moore's picture generates, or the theme of Demi Moore's picture is entirely different from this Naked Gun film poster. All right? Well, I should have said it. I should have said backwards. I should have said this film poster is a whole new creative project compared to the original picture that it made use of, because it's generating this entirely different set of feelings and sentiments. Yeah? Will you agree? Okay? All right. Let's move on. Having said that, how about this one? Okay, who submitted these pictures? Okay, what do you think? Using the test.
Well, using the test, I would say still keep the same feeling since it's also a coffee shop too.
Okay.
But the problem is in the news where you can see there's a letter pointing at different part of the mark. That's actually how people argued about it, that actually all of that are actually something that's so easy to copy and it's so common, so it doesn't like copying how people argue.
Okay, so there is not much creative investment. That's the argument that the copying artist made, right? And what the language surrounding the trademarks, are they important for our purposes, or what language is that?
Oh, it's just English. It just changed because Bang is actually stand for a name.
Oh no, I'm talking about the text outside the trademarks.
Oh, it's just like explaining each part of the mark.
Okay.
For example, when it's pointing at the star in the picture,
Okay.
they actually say that it's not a copy because the star in the picture on the left actually is symbol of religions.
Oh.
So it's not copying.
Okay.
How to say it.
I see. So the star there is from which religion? On the left side. Muslim. Yes? Okay. Or the parodies. Okay, which one? So I guess the trademark on the left is Islamic adaptation of Starbucks trademark. Can we say that? Yeah, would you agree? I mean, not the Islamic adaptation, but one Islamic adaptation, right? On the right side, it just added the phrase dumb. So, what is that? Supposed to be just criticism, epithet against Starbucks, right? Maybe somebody received his coffee too cold or too hot and went back and just, did a prank on trademark of the coffee maker, the coffee seller. You should look at the themes and sentiments generated by these works to decide whether it is copyright infringement. How many of you think this is a copyright infringement? How many think not? Okay, all right. I think not. Because the trademark on the right side is definitely a prank. Okay, it's just epithet against, he doesn't like Starbucks, period. That's the theme. Okay, the one on the right side is Islamic adaptation of existing trademark. And it reminds you of what do you think? What do you think the creative intent of the left? What do you think is the creative intent of the creator of the trademark on the left side? I mean, your left-hand side. What do you think he or she is trying to tell you by showing you Islamic adaptation of Starbucks coffee trademark? Yes? Okay, so he's trying to tell the people that Muslims also, maybe he's trying to familiarize coffee or Starbucks coffee with the Muslim population. Yeah, would you say that? Or maybe he's trying to tell the world that, we are diverse, okay? That we have diverse religions, and Islamic people seeing the trademark of Starbucks may see something different, okay? Yes?
I don't think the image has nothing to do with religion. They just want to sell the coffee. So in my opinion, they just want to say that their coffee is as much good as...
Wait. You guys are reading too much into this. I never said anybody is using this artwork on the left-hand side to advertise coffee. Okay? Just to look at it as just artwork. Okay? Now, if you start talking about how people are using the marks to sell things, then we are in the area of trademark. That's whole another area of law. Completely different ethical values govern trademark law. Copyright law is about protecting, compensating the creators of cultural artistic products, and yet promoting those products or the use of those products by other people, right? So, don't read into what possible, on what possible products those marks might have been used. Just look at it as an image, okay? Because one violates copyright not by placing it out somewhere, right? Just as soon as copy is made, there is a copyright problem. Doesn't matter whether you use it to sell coffee, to sell computer, or to sell pens, paper, doesn't matter. Copyright protects copying, okay? So we don't have to talk about whether it's used to sell anything. Just look at it as a creation, and just tell me whether it constitutes fair use, okay? All right, so these things, the marks on the side, I think, that generate different feelings and have different themes and different creative intent. Okay? But that's not the end of the story to decide whether something is fair use, right? The use of the original has to be limited to the extent necessary for the new creation, right? So the one on the left side, let's just assume that the theme is, religious diversity of the humanity, right? Let's just say that. Okay. On the right side, it's just epithet against, just hate against the Starbucks. Those are the themes. Now, did the authors of the trademarks on the, well, not trademark, the authors of the works on the side, on the left-hand side and right-hand side, did they use the original only to the extent necessary for their creative purposes? That's the second question you ask. And what do you think? I mean, I gave you a case when someone made unnecessarily, I gave you an example when someone made too much use of original work, even for a new creation, right? The magazine publisher who published the nude photos of Korean women without reducing the size, just to criticize the fact that those nude photos were published in Japanese magazine, remember? And the court said, that's just too much, just to criticize the Japanese magazine, right? We can say the same thing about, we can ask the same questions about these artworks as well. When you ask those questions, you should keep in mind that it is a parody that the authors are trying to do. For something to be a parody, it has to remind the viewers of the original. So there has to be a lot of resemblance. Okay? There has to be a lot of resemblance to effect parody. And again, there's a lot of resemblance between the two works. And yet the court said it is fair use because resemblance was a requirement for the creative purpose. It was required for the creative purpose of parodying Demi Moore's picture. And you can say the same thing about the photos here. About the trademarks here. Okay. All right. And then Lobsang Namgyal. Okay, good. Yes. So you asked whether this is a fair use, and then Julian. Where is Julian? Okay. That's under trademark. Yes. You can start asking questions about trademark, but copyright questions are different from trademark questions. Okay. So far in this class today, we talked only about whether it violates copyright. Okay. But now, if somebody starts selling actually coffee using the trademarks on the left-hand side and right-hand side, then we are talking about trademark problem. Okay? That's an independent ethical discussion. What's the ethical value of that trademark law is trying to protect? What's the value? Anyone? Lobsang? What do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Julian, what do you think? Is it to compensate the designers of the mark? No, right? Can you speak louder? So what value isn't protected by trademark? Brand, yes. So the term brand comes from this practice of this large-scale dairy farms. They grow like 10,000 cows. And then next to it there will be another farm raising 20,000 cows, right? Then the cows can mix up while they are grazing, right? They can run into one another's farms. So to make sure which one belongs to which farmer, they started branding the cows, usually by the name of the farmers, right? So the trademark law, actually the term brand comes from that. And that way you can tell the source of products, okay? So the value protected by trademark law is truth in trading, right? When my notebook computer is Toshiba, right? And by looking at the trademark Toshiba, I can rely on that sign in believing that it's actually from the famous Japanese computer maker, right? By looking at the brand of Louis Vuitton, you know, maybe not you, maybe your parents, can go to sleep at night after spending $2,000 on a bag, believing that they bought this valuable, worthwhile purchase from the French bag maker. Okay, so that's what trademark tries to protect. Make sure who produced what. Okay, so that's an entirely different ethical value, and we're going to talk about this a few classes later. Okay, but that is a separate question from that is an entirely separate question from whether the images as creations, the images on the left-hand side and right-hand side violate the copyright of the trademark on the in the center. Okay, question or comment? No? All right. Move on. There was a question before this. Chesubin, are you here? Subin? Okay, all right. So these are, so which ones are the originals and which ones are the Starbucks? Can you speak louder? Sorry, so the green one, is that the original or Starbucks? Starbucks, okay. The one on the pink one, is that original or Starbucks? What's the original then? Huh? Okay. Now, this is a very timely question because I'm going to talk about what is protected by copyright and what is not. Aha. So these are the originals. Can you see them? Look like birds. Yeah? And it does say mother bird in Korean. Mother bird. Mother bird. All right, and these are Starbucks photos. I mean, Starbucks cups. Okay. Now, if you look at this as artworks, do they generate the same sentiment? Do they generate the same feelings? What do you think? What are the themes? You know, adaptation of cuteness of birds. Yeah? Would you say that? Do you get the same feelings? Is this supposed to be the bird's face? Yeah? Okay, here's a little bird, all right, with the wing spread, one wing spread. And here's a little bird, again with wing spread. Now, is this fair use or not? What do you think? Anyone? Yes?
I mean, they've obviously made small changes to it, but even the colors that they decided to keep are quite similar. It's the light pastels. And they're selling it, I mean, it does bring out the same feelings. They're selling it for the purpose of making money, just like the small, you know, craftswoman, I guess.
I see.
So I wouldn't say that it is. I think that they've taken an idea. It seems to be very explicitly taken, but I think it would hinge on the woman who produced them originally being able to argue that they took that from her, which I don't see happening.
Well, it depends. So it depends how widely the originals were sold. So widely that it's hard to argue that the Starbucks designers never saw them, right? And if there is enough similarity, and if the Starbucks designer had ample chance to look at it, the courts, judges are usually willing to assume that it is taken. You don't have to actually prove that I actually used that design, right? But even if it has been taken, the question is whether it's fair use, and you are saying that it generates the same feelings, so it's not fair use. There is a very good, I mean, that's a very good argument. But the first question you should ask is, whether it is protected by copyright, period. Because designs of expediency, designs created to serve certain useful functions are not protected by copyright. Okay? You did all the readings, right, for today's class. Okay? Governments all around the world decided that designs, useful designs, if the useful designs are protected by copyright, then the benefit of that useful design is monopolized by the copyright holder. They decided that that should be protected separately from copyright. Okay? So it's not protected. The useful designs are usually not protected by copyrights. For instance, men's clothing, my suits. Do they look nice? Artistic creations? Yeah? Well, they may be, but the designs are dominated by the functions that they have to serve. Okay? It has to cover my arms, all right? I mean, the possibility, the range of possibilities given to men's suits is very narrow, because they have to serve certain functions of, covering up the body. And it's supposed to open up in the, in the front so that, you can easily take off. And it's supposed to show the shirt so that it lets out heat, right? I mean, how crazy can you go with the men's suits? It's either 3 buttons or 4 buttons, okay? Double-breasted or single-breasted, having 5 buttons on the cuffs or 4 buttons. There cannot, change is limited, and the limitation comes from the fact that men's suits serve certain useful functions. So the designs that serve useful functions are not protected by copyright, because they are not considered artistic creations. They are considered tools of need. Okay? So here are other examples. Wow. Okay, this picture, wait for a second. Okay, Jaguar, right? What is this? Mercedes. What is this? Probably only Korean students will know. Kia Opirus. Now, do they look similar? Generate same feelings? Yeah. right? They are so similar, but for some reason these companies are not suing each other for copyright. Why is that? Because the car designs are also dominated by the functions that they have to serve. Okay? They have to have lights in the front, because if they have lights in the back, you cannot use them in dark, right? And you have to have the engines, and you have to have a radiator grill, because you have to let the heat out, right? And then the engine has to be, flat down in front of the driver so the driver can see the front. If the driver's vision is blocked by the engine, she cannot drive. So car designs are also dominated by need. They are not inspired. They are required. What's required is not protected by copyright. What's inspired is protected by copyright.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, as you say, the functionality might be similar, but then they could use different shapes. Why necessarily the same as the smiley face of Mercedes-Benz? They could use any other shape. Why necessarily the smiley face of Mercedes-Benz? This is the problem.
Sure. But if all those small, minute changes are being protected by copyright, then it will suppress people from experimenting with different shapes. Because, yes, you may say, ordinary people may say, oh, those lights, why did they have to be round? Why did they have to be round? Maybe they are round to copy Mercedes. You may ask that, right? But the designer may say, oh, the round headlights are stronger and better aerodynamically. There may be all these different reasons, okay, that justify exact shapes of the cars. And for those reasons, many things, well, not just many things, but the shapes of many three-dimensional objects are not protected by copyright. Clothing design, not protected by copyright. So, when you go on internet, you will find these websites claiming to sell the exact copies of designer suits, designer clothing, designer dresses. Is it illegal? They are all legal. Have no shame in buying from those websites. It's entirely ethical. Yes?
So is it legal if they don't use the same brand name?
Right. So if they use the same brand name, then that's a whole another question. Okay? But when those copycat websites sell those dresses and clothing, they tell you that they are not the designers themselves. They are not the famous designers themselves. They are not the famous brands. So there is no trademark violation there, right? Just copying the designs created for functional requirement does not violate copyright. Okay? And if you think about it, yes, you have more questions. Okay.
I want to mention the Samsung and Apple.
Good. Samsung and Apple are fighting each other not for copyright, for design right. And I'll tell you about design right a little bit later. And you may say, oh, if the three-dimensional objects designs are protected by design right as opposed to copyright, it's still protected. What's the difference? There is a huge difference between copyright and design right. Copyright is, if copyright is this much, covers this much, design right covers only that much. So it's actually ludicrous that Apple and Samsung are suing each other for smartphone designs, as far as I can tell. Because how different can smartphone look? I mean, how differently can smartphone? There are functions that smartphones carry out. Anyway, let's not talk about design right now, but let's focus on copyright. So, and if you think about it, like many things around you, any objects you find, you can tell whether it's protected by copyright or not. You are wearing glasses. Do you think that your glass design is protected by copyright? Nope. Because, again, all the design elements are there, yes, to look great, but look great and do good, right? Copyright protects only those things that are supposed to look great, but do no good. If the designs do good, that means it is there for a useful purpose, not for creative inspiration. Okay? I mean, not because of creative inspiration. All right. Any other objects you find around you? How about the chairs that you are sitting on? Copyright? Nope. The TV camera, the camcorder that's going on right now. Copyright? No. Okay. But there are times that the artistic elements can be extracted clear of the functional element. I can give you an example. Let me see who came to class with the copyrightable things. So many of you are wearing black, white, or gray. No fun. All right, I see someone wearing light green t-shirt. Yes, can you stand up for the class? Okay, it's Abercrombie. Can you turn around for people in the back as well? Now, if you look at the t-shirt, on the front panel, you can turn back, yeah. On the front panel, there is some painting, and that painting has nothing to do with the functions that the t-shirt serves, right? I mean, the t-shirt will still be a t-shirt without that painting, correct? Okay, that part is protected by copyright, because that is there only to look good, not do good. All right? Okay, you can sit down. And same thing. This row, the upper column, okay, you know who I'm talking about, right? Can you stand up? The one with the designs on your dress? Yes? Okay, please. Okay, that's a better example. All right. Okay, can you turn around for the class? Oh, you don't even have to turn around because the designs are in the back as well. Okay, you can just, yeah. The elaborate pictures of the flowers there are there only to look good. Okay, by the way, it looks good, yeah. It has nothing to do with the functional purposes of, the clothing that she's wearing. So those designs are protected by copyright. You can sit down. Thank you. What does this have anything to do with the digital society? Well, a lot. Look at this. Do you remember? Okay, anyone from Japan who remembers mini Hopi? Or anyone from China who remembers Etang Hompi? No? Cyword? Probably Korean students remember this. Cyword was a big hit. It was immediately copied by a Chinese company and Japanese company. By the way, Cyword is a social media that was like as big as Facebook now, but only in Korea 10 years ago, right? It quickly went out of business when Facebook hit Korea, right? But before the time of Facebook, Cyword was really national social media program that more than 10 million people used. Okay. Cyword sued the Japanese and Chinese company for copyright, and the court said the user interface of social media are there, yes, to look good, but to serve certain functions. I mean, how different can they be? They have to have main menu on the top, sub menu on the left, some profile on the left bottom side, and then main space where the messages, the main space showing the activities of the user, the owner of the account, right? No copyright. Okay? All right, how about games? Do you know this game? Can you kind of figure out how the game is played? So here is the character that you control. And the character leaves these water bombs. Yeah? Okay, so there are two characters, here and there. Okay. All right, enough fun time. And then before this, there was this. Where did it go? Right. Are they similar games? One is called Crazy Arcade. Came after the one on your left-hand side. Bomberman. Okay, Bomberman. You can see why the name is Bomberman, right? So the creator of Bomberman sued the creator of a Crazy Arcade for copyright. The court said the game rules are not protected by copyright, because game rules are there to satisfy certain psychological desires of human brains. The rules are created for a suspense, for convenience. Okay. They are not there to express certain feelings. They are not expressions, but they are ideas. So these game rules are not protected by copyright. Anyone wants to argue with that? Yeah, you accept that? Okay.
Can you explain about the difference between copyright and patent right?
Exactly. So patent is there to protect inventions, new inventions. Well, inventions are by definition new. So inventions. And patent is there to protect those novel functions that were never made available to humanity before. Okay? So if at all, the game rules must be protected by patents. So actually, this well, let me show you. Oops. Okay, it's supposed to show picture here. For some reason it's not showing. Do you know DDR? You know, the music plays in the screen and you dance to it. That DDR system was patented because the idea of, you know, visually synchronizing your motions with the visual cues on the screen, patent office thought that that is a very novel idea of having fun. Okay? So the game rules, if at all, need to be patented, but most of the times game rules, I mean, it's really difficult to patent game rules because whatever game you are playing has existed in a similar form before. For instance, okay, you know the game Tetris? Yes? Tetris? Has anyone not played Tetris? Okay. So even the rules of Tetris had origins in this ancient game called Tetramino, where people are given these blocks made up of 5 squares. That's why they're called Tetramino. And you are supposed to, you know, fill up a rectangular space by arranging those blocks. Make sure that the blocks don't, make sure that the pieces don't overlap with one another. And you have to do it fast. So the faster you do, you know, you win. And Tetris really takes that idea. And the creator of Tetris actually said that he took the idea from the game Tetramino, right? So, so he cannot have patented Tetris, right? So the only protection remaining was copyright, but copyright doesn't protect game rules. Okay? All right, question, comment? Yes?
How about Pokemon?
Huh?
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yes? Pokemon Go?
I think that's something we need.
Yeah, but, well, so there was some other game that looked like Pokemon Go, if you remember. I mean, that functioned like Pokemon Go, and Nintendo could not, well, actually, the game existed before Pokemon Go. There was a game before Pokemon Go that functioned like Pokemon Go, right? You use mobile phone to collect some objects that are hidden here and there. Do you know the name of the game?
It's from the same company though.
Oh, no. Oh, is it from the same? Oh, from Niantic. Okay, well, let's assume that Niantic, let's assume that some other company made it, right? Would that be a copyright violation for this new company to make Pokemon Go that functions like the previous game? No, okay, because the game rules are not protected by copyright. Okay, now if you are talking about like knockoffs of a Pokemon Go that you can buy in Korea, you know that Pokemon Go is not available within Korea, except that city Kuocw all the way east, right? So there are some developers in Korea who created Pokemon Go like Android apps just to imitate. Now those knockoffs are not just using the game rules but also using Pokemon characters, right? That is copyright violation. So here this is a video game called Scramble. Has anyone played Scramble? This is like earliest video game ever, right? These were the first arcade games. So you control this, you control that rocket traveling horizontally, and the rocket can shoot guns, laser guns to the front, and can drop bombs to attack the objects on the ground. And some of the objects on the ground are missiles that will threaten the rocket. Okay, so you scroll. The background scrolls forward. Okay, so this is called the horizontal scrolling game, because as background changes, the user has to challenge, has to meet new challenges coming from the side, right? Some similar game was made after Scramble. Scramble sued that other game maker and actually won. Why? Because it was not just the game rules that were copied, but also the expressions of the things exploding. Do you see the image, representing the explosion of something? Or you see the flame in the back of the rocket, right? The court found that those expressive items were also copied in addition to the game rules. So there, the court found copyright violation. So in your question, if you meant a game, if you meant a similarly functioning game, no copyright violation. But if you are talking about Korean Pokemon knockoffs that are using Pokemon characters, then there is a copyright violation. Okay? Yes.
I mean, the Pokemon Go is not available in Korea, so.
Pokemon Go is not available in Korea except in the city of Kuocw.
So talking about that, like Uber taxi is illegal in Korea, right?
Uber taxi is illegal in Korea.
Is it a violation of like copyright Uber taxi?
You mean Uber-like programs in Korea, are they violation of copyright of Uber?
Yes.
Right. What program is there in Korea that works like Uber? Kakao Taxi. Okay. What do you think? I mean, now you are an expert because now you took this class. Now you learn from me. Now you learn from me, KS Park. You should be able to answer that. Is that copyright violation?
Well, the only difference that I see is that for Kakao Taxi, you have to be a taxi driver.
Well, you don't even need to ask that question. Let's say the Kakao Taxi is functionally exactly the same as Uber. Do you think there is a copyright violation?
Yeah, because other countries that have Uber, they actually pay Uber, right?
Well, the lesson I'm trying to give you is that even if Kakao Taxi functions exactly like Uber, it would not be copyright violation. Because those are rules designed to solve some useful functions. Right? Now Uber has the opening, the boot up. I use Uber a lot overseas. I love Uber. I hated the government for outlawing it. They have this crazy boot up screen that has some like oriental design, right? Let's say Kakao Taxi copy that. Okay, then we are talking about copyright violation, right? But the rules themselves are not the subject of copyright protection. Is that understood? Did I answer your question? Yes? Okay. Let me see. There's a lot to cover here. Now, you also raised a very good question. Uber was created by the US company, right? Kakao Taxi is a Korean company, right? Even before asking questions about, questions about copyright violation, can someone, I mean, can you violate copyright of some other country? I mean, yes, Uber is doing well in the US and other parts of the world, and it is probably the holder. If there is a copyright, by the way, Uber software itself is protected by copyright. Not the Uber, the program rules, but the program itself is a software, and there are 10,000 different ways of writing the code. Okay, there are 10,000 different ways of coding the same program rules, and the software itself, the compilation of the machine language itself is protected by copyright, and Uber has copyright to that code. Is that protected in Korea as well? The answer is, simple answer is, I mean, this is ethics class, not law class, so you don't have to really, know the details, but the simple answer is yes. All countries around the world entered into a treaty called Berne Convention that say each country will protect foreign copyright the same as domestic copyright. So American copyright is protected like Korean copyrighted product within Korea. So the same thing. The American courts will protect Korean copyrights the same as American copyrights. Okay? So, well, I mean, there are like small countries that have not signed the Berne Convention, but all major countries, I mean, just name top 10 countries that comes to your mind. Probably they've joined Berne Convention. It's hard to do trade. It's hard to participate in international trade without having signed Berne Convention. So it's safe to say that it's very unsafe to think that you can use foreign copyrighted work without violating copyright law. Okay, thank you. And those who made comments in class, last class and this class, please find the teaching assistant next Tuesday to receive credit. Okay? All right. Thank you. I'll see you next week.